I'm out here at the speedrun spot again with the Traxxas Bandit VXL. I'm trying to figure out just how fast this car can go on the stock Valenian system. It's running the stock ESC and the stock motor. So far it's reached 82.5 miles an hour, but the car was wheeling like crazy. Couldn't really keep the front end down despite having a bunch of weight added to the front. So my buddy Wade Skelton on YouTube, excellent channel, link in the video description. He has tons of content on vintage cars, and he's doing me a big favor, and he 3D printed me a front spoiler for this car, which should help keep the nose down. But while I'm waiting on that, I'm running a semi-new setup here. Did a few things to tweak the car, which should help it down the road when I'm running 3S again. I put this wire here. It's part of the wing in case it rolls over again, so it won't shred the body. And I have this little piece here that I didn't have on the car there as well. Maybe it'll slightly improve the aerodynamics. Today we're running a 64 tooth spur gear and a 41 tooth pinion gear. You cannot fit the dust cover with a 41 tooth pinion, it's too big. So I'm running it without it, but it should be fine. It's not dirty, just a little dust out here. So I think there'll be no issues there. I put a zip tie here on the wheelie bar because what was happening when it was slamming hard into the wheelie bar, it was coming loose and making the car flip over easier. Other than that, it's the normal setup, but today we're running 2S batteries. Again, I thought the lower speeds would help me kind of see how the setup is with this car. I also lowered the shocks a little bit and just kind of test it out today. And it'll be really fun to see how fast this car can go with 2S lipos. I have 3 2S lipos I'm running today. I have an Ovonic 4600 milliamp hour 50C battery. This battery should be able to provide well over 200 amps of continuous current. I have a Turnigy Nanotech 65C 4200 milliamp hour lipo. This battery is over 7 years old but continues to perform really well, regularly outperforming this Ovonic. In my vintage cars, this one would go mid 40s. This one would be more in the low 40s. We'll see what happens today. But typically, the Turnigy was at least 2 to 3 miles an hour faster than this Ovonic. Now, I also have this Liperior 5000 milliamp hour 50C battery. All 3 of these 2S batteries should be able to provide well over 200 amps of continuous current. And the Traxxas VXL system is only rated at a maximum of 100 amps. So should be no issues there. This is not Liperior's highest performance battery, but it has tested really well. And I'm curious to see how fast it'll go in the Bandit with this really aggressive and tall gearing. Lastly, I figured I'd run this Ovonic 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery. Now before you say, Brian, you're an idiot. Why are you running such a small lipo in this Traxxas Bandit? You know, it's not designed for that. And while you might be right, I'm an idiot. This battery, it's a 2200 milliamp hour battery, 2.2 amps. 2.2 amps times its 50C rating. Ovonic claims this battery can continuously output 100 amps of current. It can't, but it should be able to. So thought it'd be really fun to run this battery and see how fast it goes with this really aggressive gearing setup. All right, first up, I'm gonna run the Ovonic 2S 4600 milliamp hour lipo, and I'm hoping to crack 60 miles an hour today. We'll see what happens. All right, I have the GPS zeroed out. Let's make sure it's registering. Very good. All right, we already hit the low voltage shutoff after 1.5 passes. That's it. A truly pathetic performance by this Ovonic battery. 52 miles an hour. The Ovonic ran so poorly on the first run, I did another run off camera just to make sure it was a real result, and it was. This time it went a mile an hour faster, almost 2 miles an hour faster at 53.8. All right, next up will be the Turnigy. Now this Turnigy battery just went 5 or 6 passes and did not hit the low voltage shutoff. 62 miles an hour. This Turnigy battery is 7 years old and has always been a pretty good battery. Next up, the Liperior 2S 5000 milliamp hour 50C LiPo. There we go, the Liperior 5050C, 64.9 miles an hour. The Ovonic 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery was only able to hit 65 miles an hour in previous tests, so that's a pretty strong showing. Now the Ovonic 3S may go a little faster today because I am running taller gearing. I have a 64 tooth spur gear and a 41 tooth pinion gear. The pinion's now so big I cannot fit the dust cover, but for on-road use it should be fine. All right, let me throw this Ovonic in here and see how it performs. All right, we already hit the low voltage shutoff before even getting quite up to full speed. I'll reset the ESC and try it one more time, but this just goes to show you these Ovonic and other low performance LiPos, they just are complete dog shit when you're trying to use them in high load applications. They may work fine with a crawler or something that's not real demanding, but this just goes to show you how bad these batteries perform. 59 miles an hour. I'll go ahead and I have to unplug it to get it to reset, but we'll give it one more run and see if we can do any better. I'm gonna slowly ease into the throttle and see if that helps at all. Nope, just hit the low voltage shutoff and it's done. I slowly fed in the throttle that time, trying not to put too much load on the battery, but it made little difference. See if we got any faster. Might have got a couple more miles an hour, but let's see. $64.8, so no faster than the Liperior 2S. Well, there we go. Those are some really interesting findings. The Traxxas Bandit VXL reached nearly 65 miles an hour on 2S today, so I think that's pretty darn fast for 2S. Now, one thing that it did demonstrate, which I already knew, both these Ovonic batteries are complete dog shit in high amp, high draw RC cars. They cannot come close to their claimed C ratings. Again, this one should be able to provide about 110 amps of continuous current. This one should be able to provide well over 200 amps of continuous current. But this one only made it half the length of the speed run. This one only made it 1.5 lengths of the speed run area. So both terrible performance. Now I will say both of these batteries do meet their claimed capacity. This one holds over 2200 milliamp hours. This one does hold over 4600 milliamp hours, but the C ratings and their ability to provide burst current is terrible. They might perform well enough in a crawler or a vintage car or something that's brushed. But if you're looking for a battery to do speed runs or something where you need a lot of amps on demand, don't go with these. Now, this Liperior 2S 5000 milliamp hour 50C battery performed really well. It was the fastest battery I tested today, and Liperior makes some outstanding budget-friendly batteries. So I definitely recommend this one, as well as I recommend this Turnigy Nanotech. This battery is 7 years old and still performs nearly as well as it did the day I bought it. So the big winner today was this Liperior, but I would have been curious if I had a 5,000 milliamp hour Turnigy to see how close it came to this Liperior battery. I will say on my charger, this one holds way more current, above 3.7 volts, way more capacity rather. So this one probably would outperform this one if they were both 5,000 milliamp hour batteries, but unfortunately that's not something I can test because I don't have a larger battery in the Nanotech series. All right, that's all I have for now, guys. Next time out here, I'm gonna put the 3D printed spoiler on the front of this. Hopefully it'll keep the nose down, and hopefully at 3S, this Traxxas Bandit VXL on the stock power system will reach over 85 miles an hour. That's my final goal. We'll see what happens. And I have some really strong lipos I'm gonna be testing in this thing. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.